Hello fellow sim racers and welcome to another video. This time we'll be doing a slightly different thing, and instead of just going and racing, which is what I normally do on the channel, I wanted to give you my very first impressions of this little beauty. This is the HYP-R wheel from Pokornyi Engineering. As you can see, this is a replica, I mean not an official replica, but it looks pretty much exactly the same as the Cosworth wheel, which is essentially provided from Cosworth for all of the LMDH cars. And I was on the market looking for a wheel which I can use for hypercars as well as Formula 1 cars, and a lot of the options that I looked at, they just look too toyish. I mean, they're great wheels, I'm sure, but they're just fantasy wheels, right? So when it comes to immersion, I just wanted something that really looks like the real thing, or you know, a wheel that real racing cars are racing with. So considered all the options, and at the end I decided to go for this wheel. And as I said, this is not going to be a review, this is going to be really my very first impressions. I've done just a few laps setting it all up, and it is going to be pretty unfiltered, but I can tell you from the first moment I plugged it in and I saw all the lights and everything, I absolutely love it. So I cannot wait to test it a bit longer, and maybe a bit further down the line I can do a more extensive review. But when it comes to the first impressions, let's do some driving, and I'll talk and drive and I'll just tell you what the wheel is all about. As I mentioned earlier, as you can see, the wheel, it is not an official replica, but is a replica of the Cosworth wheel, and I'm running the Ferrari at the moment, which is, by the way, not an LMDH, so in fact they're not running this type of wheel. But Ferrari being my favorite hypercar in Le Mans Ultimate, then obviously I decided just to run this one. So the wheel has 5 buttons on each side, so this is a total of 10 buttons on the front. Then you have, oh, hold on, let's let him by. So then you have 2 buttons here on the rear, and I'm not yet sure what I will use them for, but the way I have them mapped at the moment, one of them is just the flashing light, and the other one is for enabling the HUD in case I need it for the race starts and so on and so on. But yeah, so that's 10 buttons on the front, 2 buttons on the rear. Then you have the 2 funky switches, one on each side, one on the left and one on the right, and it has all directions, as well as you can click it. On top of that, you have the 4 rotary encoders, which are absolutely beautiful, by the way. And those are also, they have a clicky action, so you can actually press it. I haven't tried to map a button, but you know, you can press them, so I assume this is an actual button. And what else is left? Obviously you have these 2 thumb rotary encoders here as well. So I use that for brake bias on the right, and then I have for brake migration on the left. So this is when it comes to the buttons, I have to say it's just perfect amount. I don't think that you need any more buttons than this. And obviously I do have the button box, so if I am struggling, for example, for more inputs, then there is plenty that I can use here for. Now, the centerpiece of the wheel, of course, is the screen. So this is a 5-inch Volcore screen, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So many of the wheels that I looked at, they had the 4.3-inch screens, and if I'm completely honest, that looks too small for me. It's you know, this is just the perfect size that you can just glance and you can read all of the... Oh, let's let this BMW pass. And then you can read all of the text, all of the numbers. It's quite clear, so it doesn't feel cramped, it doesn't feel small, it feels absolutely perfect. Obviously it has the shift lights, and I'm using these LED lights here on the sides. I use those for flags. I use them also for a spotter. So when there is a car side by side, they are turning red. Actually, it's a good point. They should have turned red when this BMW passed us. I don't know why they didn't. So I definitely have some more setting up to do. But yeah, so apart from the buttons and inputs, it has a double clutch or twin clutch On the rear, obviously the gear shift, and it has also an option on the top for additional 2 paddles, but I did not mount those because I don't know what I will use them for, and just makes the whole thing kind of cramped here on the back, so I just kept them off for now. Maybe in the future I'll decide to add them on, but at the moment I don't need them, so I just have the clutches and the shifters, and that's all I need. The wheel itself is 295 millimeters, which is slightly bigger than my Cube Controls wheel that I'm usually running when it comes to GT3. And I have to say, it is... So first of all, the size is perfect. I don't find it too big or too small. I actually think it's really good, and it gives you also a little bit more kind of buffer, meaning that the cars don't feel as twitchy. So just slightly bigger size. I think 300 millimeters is the absolute maximum that I would go for a wheel. And I have a Formula wheel which is from Simlab, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's my old wheel, so that's 300 millimeters, and for me that's too big. I think it's 304, 305, something like that. So I wouldn't go beyond 300 millimeters. That's the absolute limit for me. Obviously, if you have bigger hands, that might be okay for you, but for me, about 290 is the sweet spot. 295 for me, this one is absolutely perfect. Another thing I'm noticing is, oh, the Ferrari is flashing behind us, so let's let him by. Okay, and again, these didn't flash, so they should be flashing red. I don't know why they didn't, so I have to check later on in the settings again. As I said, this is all very new. I just set it all up, and I wanted to jump on it just to give you really my very first impressions. What I'm noticing is the force feedback feels a little bit smoother with this wheel. I don't know if it's the size, obviously the materials are different compared to the Cube Controls. And these grips, I find them so, on my Cube Controls, I absolutely love the grips. They are incredible. And I'm a bit surprised to say that I like this even more. So these are slightly thinner. I don't have big hands, so for me it's absolutely fine. But they're also a little bit softer. And I think maybe this softness adds a little bit of dampening when it comes to the force feedback. And so the force feedback does not feel as notchy, so it feels a bit more rubbery. And it makes it just really, really nice on feeling. And I'm really happy. And I have to do them, I have to try them obviously back to back. I have not done that. But I think the feeling I get through the wheel, let's let the Lambo go. The feeling I get through the wheel, the force feedback I mean, I prefer it with this one. I am extremely happy. My first impressions are nothing but positive. And great job by Pokornyi Engineering. And here is a really important point. So this is not a wheel that you can actually go and buy, meaning which comes in a box and it's ready and it's all good. So this is actually a DIY type of wheel. Now you can buy everything. So you buy the DIY files from them, and I will link the website in the description. I think it was €45 if I remember correctly. And then you have a couple of options from there. If you have a way to source all of the materials, and they provide links for everything as options, you can do it yourself. So you can source all of the materials yourself, and then you can build it yourself. Maybe that will be even cheaper. But I decided to go another route. So on their website you can also buy most of the parts, not everything. A few things you still have to buy from, I mean, I bought everything from AliExpress, which I didn't buy from the website, but you can buy it in any shop. And there is links in the DIY files in the manual But yeah, so I bought pretty much everything from them. It costed me around €1,000 in parts from them. Obviously additional cost when it comes to the screen, some of the buttons, some of the electronics, all of that I bought separately. All in all, the cost of all of the materials ended up at just over €1,200, which at first may seem like a lot of money for a DIY wheel, but the materials are really top quality and the price is justified in my opinion. Also, I wanted a wheel which looks like a current prototype wheel, and there just aren't many options out there on the market. Now, you could build it for a lot cheaper if you decide to 3D print as many parts as possible, but I also wanted to have a quality wheel which looks and feels great, and for me, I chose that route and the price is definitely worth it. One last thing I want to mention is that the HYP-R wheel supports fully Simhub, which was also a must-have for me. As you can see here, I'm in the Porsche 963 LMDH, and the dash, the button colors, the LED lights, they all look different compared to what I was running just a few minutes ago in the Ferrari, and this is all thanks to the integration with Simhub. As a final thought, I can say that I really like the wheel. I cannot wait to put some more time with it in the hypercars, in Le Mans Ultimate, and this wheel feels like the perfect match for that. With that, I will now shut up and leave you with a few minutes of pure driving. Thank you for watching and see you in the next one.